If there's any decade for film that paved the way for horror movies as we know it, it has to be the 1930s. Now you're thinking, what are you, an old timer? How did the 30s change the horror genre? What about the 80s, or even the 2020s? Just bear with me on this. While the 80s had some fantastic hits, and 2020s do have some of the best horror movies I've seen in a while, I don't think any horror movie would exist if it had not been for the 1930s. Let me explain. In 1931, the horror genre got a load of recognition thanks to two movies that released that year, Dracula and Frankenstein. Both films have changed the game of horror by showing audiences that horror can be more than just being scary. They can mix into different genres of film too. Dracula leaned into the fantasy horror, while Frankenstein leaned into sci-fi horror, and they both kicked off the Universal classic monsters. Without Dracula, vampire media wouldn't be where it is today. Frankenstein also showed people what happens when you try to play God, which of course gave other media the idea too. Then, in 1932, The Mummy was released, which was the first in the Universal classic monsters to not be based on something. Dracula and Frankenstein were based on books. The Mummy was an original creation, an original villain, an original story, and original characters. Even though The Mummy was less popular than the latter two, it also paved the way for filmmakers to come up with their own ideas. Then, in 1933, we had two films that changed everything, King Kong and The Invisible Man. They both paved the way for visual effects. King Kong used stop motion to create the world, and The Invisible Man blew audiences away by showing out, well, a man that's friggin' invisible. Even though the visual effects are dated by today's standards, for 1933 they were game changers. Then finally, in 1935, we got our first ever horror sequel, The Bride of Frankenstein. Bride of Frankenstein continued the story where it left off, and introduced new characters, it expanded the world, and who could forget the bride? Sure, the 30s may not have been a perfect decade for movies, but it's a decade I think about the most that helped pave the way for horror as we know it. These 6 movies in particular have all changed the genre and inspire horror filmmakers everywhere to make films that will shock viewers to their core. Yes, it's